Hey, everybody. Welcome to the morning market briefing. It's Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Hope you're doing well out there. Ben making it here just in the nick of time after a big school drop off. Sounds like everything went swimmingly. Uh,
No drama at all. Very, very easy
very,
first day.
very easy first day getting dropped off for Sleepy Joe. Tom, how we doing?
Feeling good. I think we need to give the people what they want. You know what they want. They want to talk about SpaceX.
Let's SpaceX it up, baby. What are we down right now? 10%, 11%?
It was 11 last I looked. Let's get a real.
So
real-time
SpaceX
number.
reported their first earnings. I will readily admit it was really hard to discern what the narrative was because as these numbers started to flow out, Ben, the market generally was relatively positive initially because you were getting things like revenue that looked positive. You were getting smaller losses than anticipated in the AI space. Everything seemed positive, and then very quickly it seemed to turn negative. So if you were trying to distill this, it seems like a couple themes kind of emerged, one of which is the data center in space thing, which was so hyped up leading into the IPO, seems to be, I don't know if you'd say if it's on the back burner, but not the priority.
Yeah, Elon said that the data center on the ground is cheaper, so we'll just do the data center on the ground.
Which is very different than what he said 3 months ago.
But what I thought was interesting, there was really three businesses when you think of SpaceX. It's the Starlink business, it's the AI business when they acquired XAI, and it's the Starship business, essentially, that's actually launching rockets. Starlink is fine, but management was pretty clear that this is a way to monetize space travel. It's not the way. They're like, yeah, in 10 years, we'll be the leading communications provider. We're going to beat Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. But like, to them, it almost sounded like that was table stakes.
Yeah, that was quite the consolation prize, I would argue. I mean, if you think of this space, internet providing companies, to just kind of be like, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll be the biggest in the world in the next 10 years.
That's $1 trillion of market cap right there.
Yeah. So like right now they use existing, like their Starlink service is actually provided a lot by like existing like Verizon, AT&T that they rent out. And so this time next year they want to be able to provide voice over internet and actually like even video calling over WhatsApp through their satellites. So that would be a big improvement for them on that. And then on the AI front, I think the AI front is probably like the biggest shark closest to the boat right now. And they're spending a lot of money on that. So I think probably to the tune of $150 to $200 billion over the next year. And I think but they're going to be able to rent that out. They say the payback periods are very fast. And then after that, you kind of have, your own computing stack that's basically paid for. So I think that's that's a piece there. What's interesting too is Grok 5, they want to release it by the end of the year, and they're going to train that on SpaceX internal data. So they think that Grok 5 will be the best engineering AI out there, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, big emphasis on the engineering side.
Yeah. And then finally, on the Starship side, he just kind of gave a sense of the scale. To date, SpaceX has launched 2,500 metric tons into space of stuff, of the total 2,800 metric tons. So they're basically like 80 to 90%.
If there's something floating around out there, it's probably from them.
In a couple of years, he wants to be launching 1 million tons or even 10 million tons a year. But I think probably the biggest thing beyond all of this is that we get to the vision of what he ultimately wants. I think bring it full circle. You mentioned that we're moving away from the data centers in space, which may happen, but I think the ground is going to happen sooner. But he kind of gave out this vision, and he says, I know this sounds totally nuts, but you can probably scale a mass accelerator on the moon to 1,000 times the economy of Earth in terms of intelligence launched to space, but probably, maybe even 1 million times the intelligence of Earth. So we're going to land a lot of tonnage on the moon. We're going to build factories on the moon. The robots will help with that. And so like that brings it all together. And also like when he talks about bringing robots into it, that's an allusion to SpaceX buying Tesla. So that's the vision. And if you buy into that vision of we're basically outsourcing a lot of production to the moon, that's I think right now what you're buying when you buy SpaceX.
Yeah, which is just wild to think of an economy on the moon.
I mean, we got the first mention of boots on the ground that I've heard on a conference call. I mean, even Lockheed doesn't talk about boots on the ground. Boots on the ground on the moon in 28.
Boots on the moon.
It's interesting. I feel like lost in this too is yesterday there was an announcement that they had signed a tax deal with Grimes County, Texas, for breaking ground on their Terafab facility, which is going to be, I think it's 1 million square feet of chip production. And I was looking Grimes County, so they get, I think the deal was $10 million up front, just straight up from SpaceX, and then $20 million a year is going to go straight into the coffers of Grimes County, which has a current population of 29,000 people. And if you look at the Wikipedia, that says notable residents, and it says that Chuck Norris lived near Navasota, which is on the edge of Grimes County, which I think means he didn't live there.
Yeah. Like he'd seen it, though.
Yeah, he may have had a ranch somewhere in and around, but the thinking there, I think, based on the location, is that it's a pretty short ride to College Station. And Texas A&M, at least in my anecdotal experience, has the right type of weird tech nerds to work for SpaceX.
Yeah.
Say I've played rugby with a couple guys who went to Texas A&M, and I would say that on the nerd scale,
Very high.
They're more in like the might do dangerous activity nerd scale. Like,
yeah, they're kind of rebellious Boy Scouts, I would say.
yeah, they like to blow stuff
Like
up.
that guy made too good of a fire.
Yeah, I went on a bachelor party and everyone went to Texas A&M, and they were talking about how they would do like headlight-free overland nighttime scavenger hunts where they would basically just take like lifted trucks and just like drive in the desert without their headlights on and race other weird nerds to like find stuff, which is like it's a different iteration of nerd than maybe your tech nerds, which are more in like we're gonna leave the lights on and do Legos, or your Virginia Tech nerds who are just, in my experience, the softest people I've ever met. So that's the nerd scale of the tech-based schools that I've had real exposure to, I would say. I don't know if you have any thoughts on Virginia Tech.
I actually had no thoughts on Virginia Tech, so
yeah,
that's interesting. I don't question given the discernment you've offered on the other fine technological institutions, I'd say you're probably right about Virginia Tech, but
they're just I just found them to be they're like they're the same type of rich Virginia kids that would go to the University of Virginia and sort of wear white collared button down shirts and look down on you, except that they would go to tech school and do math instead.
Yeah.
Of philosophy.
Like
and I say that, but my mom went to UVA, but she was more of a aggressive feminist, first class of women at UVA because they used to not let women in.
Man, I didn't realize that.
And so, there you go. Her and Katie Couric were in the first class of women at University of Virginia.
SpaceX does say they're going to use Nvidia exclusively because it's the best. Not necessarily surprised there, but noteworthy.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. AMD had great numbers last night, but after Elon said that, AMD got smashed. It's down 9% this morning.
Yeah, the love fest between Jensen and Elon. They seem to be pretty simpatico.
Because, I mean, Jensen also saying that Tesla is the best, or SpaceX is the best AI, or will have.
They're both big leather jacket guys, too.
Yeah.
Which is a move that always seems like it'd be cool if I had a leather jacket, but I swear if I walked in here with one, everyone would be like, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
you know,
with that guy.
I've never watched video games. You know how like people like to watch
them.
Like, can you imagine the viewership if like Jensen Huang played Elon Musk on a online like strategy video game?
Whatever it is that they play. Quest?
What is
something?
But something like that. I mean, it would be.
I know those out there.
Yeah, even just a competitive game of Ticket to Ride.
Because they'd be so into it.
Crazy
like,
Taxi.
Yeah. I feel like we should get that together and have it go to charity, but the charity is us.
The boys, yeah.
I think it'd be fun. So pretty high-flying market yesterday, Ben. A lot of speculation on the tech side. How much does a report like we got from SpaceX and the market trading, how much does that kind of dampen what we saw yesterday? Because we had big moves.
Yeah, I think, you had Caterpillar come out with really good numbers, and then you had the speculation going into the numbers, some short covering into SpaceX into the quarter. So I think that you're just going to retrace a little bit of that on the tech side today. But in general, I think that the economy is moving in the right direction. You did see industrials go up 1.8%. Everything else was kind of subdued yesterday, but we hit a new all-time high. And I think what I want to see from here is more broadening in the market. Yesterday, the biggest positive factor in the market was trade activity. And so trade activity in the stocks going up is not generally the most healthy thing. If that's kind of leading, like whatever stock is trading the most, think GameStop. Like that was not a great indicator
of stability
for the market. Yeah, but I think that you had some short covering, some weirdness in SpaceX ahead of the lockup expiration and the earnings report. So I wouldn't read too much I wouldn't extrapolate the move yesterday, but I don't think that we necessarily have to retrace that.
Yeah. Scott Bessent saying that he thought the straight would be open too, which certainly got people a little more excited. Bonds had a good day yesterday, Tom.
Yeah, we finally saw a little bit of strength. We're back down to like a 516 on the 30-year. 10-year still pretty elevated. We're still pretty flat. In fact, this morning we're seeing even more flattening. The short end of the curve is up a little bit and the long end is down. So, all around on a portfolio basis, we had a pretty solid day.
Yeah, I like the 2-year here. Even at like 410, 415.
We've been buying a lot of bonds in the belly of the curve. A lot of sort of the 2-3 year range treasuries, because it's just, I don't think it's going to be there in a year.
Yeah. So grab them up. The time to buy bonds was yesterday and today. We got the JOLTS job report. Curious if either of y'all think this really matters at all to the new Fed, but we're trying to get a more clear picture on the employment picture, more clear picture on the picture. But we got the jobs report out. It showed fewer job openings than people were kind of expecting. We do have the jobs report coming out later in the week. But it seems like all of that is a little bit of a moot point in the sense that it seems quite unlikely that the Fed is going to react to any of this data.
Yeah, and we got ADP this morning too. The expectation was 65, came in at 44. Is that accurate? I don't know. I think the more important number we got this morning was mortgage applications down 2.9% week over week, and the previous week was down 6.4%. So if anything's going to have a real driver on inflation, it would be compounding negative weekly mortgage application numbers.
Yeah. We saw openings fall most from the JOLTS report in leisure and hospitality, probably kind of that World Cup hangover that we've talked about in other areas.
Yeah, you also saw job openings fall a little bit in healthcare too, which I thought was interesting. But most of that was just jobs getting filled versus people getting laid off. So it's interesting because we have a couple big health companies report this morning, CVS and Eli Lilly. The availability of GLP-1s is CVS actually, in connection with its press release this morning, came out with a press release saying that basically they're partnering with Eli Lilly, which is a massive shift from where they were, because they famously cut off Eli Lilly from its formulary this time last year, but now they're best buds, and CVS is pushing its GLP-1s hard. In fact, you can go on and
do
on
a
the
digital
Minute Clinic, $29 one time, and you've got GLP-1s. They're going to have access on the CVS Health app, show transparent pricing, including rebates, insurance, etc. They're pushing it onto more formularies. Zepbound's going to get covered on October 1st. Foundeo, which is the weight loss pill, is already covered. So CVS, and the reason I think this CVS is doing this is because they're seeing the benefits of it. Their medical loss ratio, which is how much they spend in benefits versus how much they take in. So you want a lower number. That came in at 87%.
It was almost 90.
It was almost 90 this time last year. So the healthier population is now benefiting the insurance companies because they're taking in all these premiums, but on a healthier population. And so CVS leaning into that and trying to incentivize more GLP-1 usage.
So this is interesting. I almost sent it to the boys for talking about it on the podcast today, but there was an article that came out last night that was called a new negative externality of the GLP-1s is protein maxing, which the boys have been protein maxing like crazy in the office. TK and I especially have been really pushing hard on the protein, getting our lifts in. But the article basically went into the exponential increase in demand for whey protein, which we've talked about a little bit, like that company Glavia or whatever the Irish company is. It's the premier purveyor of protein worldwide. Is that you actually have to make cheese, because you got your curds and whey, your Little Miss Muffet combo there, but the curd production to whey production is like 10-1. And so in order to come up with all this whey protein isolate, you've got to make 10 times as much cheese to get 1 unit of whey. And so suddenly there's just a massive global overproduction of cheese. And it's
not getting eaten because the spider comes along and fries you away.
It's a whole thing where, I'm not a big cheese guy. I know people, they'll just go on and on
Cheese
about how
Max.
much they love cheese. And it's one of the few foods that people are very open about how it affects them from a gastrointestinal standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, I just love cheese, but you know how it makes me.
Yeah, no one's like, it's really good. What really makes me feel good? Cheese.
Yeah, and it's either one or the other. It's either a real stoppage or a real gets the noodle going, if you will. But I just thought it was really interesting because it's like there are all these things that are happening. This massive cascade of companies that are getting either hurt or helped by the GLP-1, influx. Is that suddenly there's too much cheese and not enough whey.
Man,
so
tough times. We should Ben. I don't know if you would have the resources to do this, but maybe you could rewrite the nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
And publish it out.
I don't know if Culver's is publicly traded. The weird Wisconsin-based
you can
burger
get some
chain.
curds.
Yeah, because they're big on curds there. So.
Yeah.
Curds are cheap these days.
Yeah, cheap curds. What else we watching, Ben? Disney up about 4%. Good.
Yeah,
parts.
they have agreement with TikTok. So they're trying to promote more of their stories on TikTok, which I feel like they should have been doing 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't. But and then Uber also reported today. I think at this point, all the travel stocks, it's all kind of played out. If you're reporting at this point and you don't have anything different to say on the macro, you're probably going to get sold off because people have just been extrapolating and you're not going to be able to show anything different.
We'll get ISM services today at 10, so we'll be able to recap that. But stick around for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tomorrow Day. We will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.